Okay, is the sound clap on? Did you guys hear that? Good. Okay, my name is Craig, guys. Welcome back to Honor and Everything, where I discuss everything from movies, TV shows, anime, comic book, wrestling, everything you love. But usually, I would, usually I would have uploaded something in the past couple of days, but I've been down in the dumps about this whole TikTok ban. I really hope it stays up because I made a big community over there, and I'm not talking about in terms of numbers. I mean, while the numbers were decent, I was more concerned about losing a large amount of my friends I made over there because I'm more worried about the people that make a living off of TikTok and did it for a full time and got opportunities like merchandising or collabing with other content creators, and now they're either going to have to switch platforms and try to rebuild that community, which is a lot harder than people think it is, or they're either going to have to get a job. And some people are deciding that they just don't want to put in the effort into rebuilding that same community anymore now that TikTok is going down the drain. So I've been trying to forget about that and not think about it just by reading comic books. And this whole week I've been trying to catch up more with a lot of Marvel stuff as opposed to DC because I've been reading non-DC the last couple of weeks. So I'm gonna start off with the DC one because I only read one, and that was Absolute Batman issues 1 through 3. Now I haven't read 4. I haven't read Absolute Power. I've ordered Absolute Power, Absolute, and the Absolute Superman and Wonder Woman 3, and also Absolute Batman 4. So those should be delivered at my house in the next week or so. I hope to read those before the next issues come out. But Absolute Batman 1 through 3, damn, they were good. Bruce is middle class. As in this one, all the Trinity's stories are vastly changed, of course, as you guys know. Now, Bruce is middle class. He loses his father as opposed to both parents. And Batman, he didn't grow up, since he was middle class, and he didn't grow up with the luxury of having all these, you know, didn't have the luxury of pretty much growing up in a mansion or having, Alfred as his butler at all. Alfred is a lot more badass in this story. Like he feels like a ex like uh, how do I describe it? Uh, Alfred is basically like a ex freaking Marine. He feels like freaking Tom Cruise in this film. I mean, in this comic and in this comic series so far, and I am absolutely loving it. And Batman, while he does not inherently kill, he is a lot more violent. I mean, one in issue 2, one of the terrorist groups that is terrorizing the city, he chops the dude's hand off and tells him, "Hey, those are retachable. There's a hospital nearby. If you make it in time, you might be able to reattach it." I'm like, what the fuck? I love this. This is incredible. While I'm glad they are going a different route with the Trinity characters, and it's a lot more fun to see different depictions of them, I'm glad they're still keeping the idea of them having sort of a sense of morality and not inherently killing anyone at all, which is all I ask for. And also, Bruce, he grows up. A lot of the villains aren't villains in this one. Now, I'm glad they stayed away from Joker. Now, the main antagonist in this so far is Black Mask. And Bruce, he grew up in flashback panels. We see him and Selina as childhood friends, so they grew up together. He's even friends with this version of the Riddler, who isn't a criminal. He's more like, he knows that Bruce is Batman, and he even plays out. He plays poker or blackjack or whatever with the Riddler, and I believe Harvey Dent. Harvey Bullock is is vastly different from what I'm used to seeing, which in the other depictions I've seen of Harvey Bullock, he's short, he's short, has hair, like a receding hairline, a cigar in his mouth, and absolutely hates Batman. But in this, he's bald, kind of has like a 5 o'clock shadow going, much more bulkier, and yeah, I think you guys should definitely read this if you want a different depiction of Batman and to see what Bruce would be like if he didn't have the upbringing that he had due to Alfred, then you guys should definitely check this out. The first 3 issues were mind blowing, and even his Batmobile I mean, it feels like a freaking semi truck. I mean, it's so badass. It feels like those those trucks, like those. It feels like a monster truck as opposed to a regular Batmobile that he just built. But you guys should read these these issues of Absolute Batman. I can't wait to read Absolute Power and the next ones that I've missed. So yes, Absolute Batman is the only DC one I've read. Next, I read Immortal Hulk issues 15 through 18. I love Immortal Hulk so far. Every time I've said, okay, I'm going to put it down, I'm going to read another character, I read another comic issue, and it just kept going and going. Last week, I read the first 10 issues, I believe, but damn, I'm really enjoying this depiction of separating Bruce Banner and the Hulk. I mean, the way they treat Hulk in this is like he's a werewolf, and Hulk comes out at night while Bruce has control in the daytime. And even the difference between the powers that the strength and the strength and the powers that this version of the Hulk possesses as opposed to what we're usually used to seeing is badass. He can absorb gamma radiation. He can, in one issue, a doctor cuts off the Hulk's limbs, puts them in a jar to experiment on him to see how his powers work, and he just regenerates his injured limbs out of the jar and absorbs the doctor like he's freaking Majin Buu, which was really badass. One of my favorite betrayals of Hulk in one of the issues I've read is that they trap Hulk in this container. They trap Hulk somewhere to absorb and they use heat radiation to absorb like the Hulk out of Bruce Banner so they could kill Bruce. And that way, the Hulk can kind of be out of the way, and Hulk just takes over Bruce's mind, and he amplifies the sun radiation in the room that they're trapped in to give him the gamma radiation to turn back into the Hulk, and just freaking crushes the dude that was the military guy that was hired to kill him, which was freaking badass. We also see a little more exposition on, Bruce's relationship with Betty, and also her like feeling like she shouldn't be grieving over the loss of her father because Thunderbolt Ross passed away, and they're also on the lookout for Betty because she's disappeared now. They're still looking for Bruce Banner while also trying to confirm whether or not if Betty is alive or if she's dead or not. I don't want to give any spoilers for people who have not read any of these, but it's pretty damn good if you want a different depiction of what the Bruce Banner and the Hulk are like. But yes, read this, guys. It's absolutely great. Next up, Marvel. I read Marvel's Zombies Decay. I read the first two issues. Now, I'm not too sure how many issues this has because I looked it up. There's more than two, and but when I was reading it Marvel on the Marvel app, it only had two issues for some reason. I'm not sure why that is, but I my favorite horror trope is zombies and vampires. And if you love zombies, if you love anything with horror, you're gonna love this because Bruce Banner has to team up with Groot and Rocket Raccoon from Guardians of the Galaxies after the Avengers and the population of New York is infected and they turn into zombies. And that happens because he Groot is down with the illness that he got from a planet somewhere when he was traveling with Rocket, and he accidentally sneezes on Steve, which infects him, and he transfers it to the Avengers, and they transfer it to the population of New York. So Bruce Banner, who's the only Avenger that wasn't infected, has to team up with Rocket and in Groot to go to the Avengers Tower and use some of the DNA from Groot's illness to find a cure. It's a lot of fun. Like I said, if you love some of those campy horror tropes like uh, vampires and zombies, you're gonna love this. So give this one a read, you guys. Next up, I read Fantastic Four issues 4 through 8. Now I'm trying to get more into Fantastic Four, the first family, especially considering how especially considering how the movie is coming out the same day as Superman, and Superman is one of my favorite characters. Fantastic Four has been very underutilized in a lot of media, particularly particularly live action film. And while they got the family dynamic right in the 2000s film, and the characteristics are pretty much their personalities are pretty much the same as the comics. What they don't get right is the villains and how they're portrayed. Galactus is a freaking cloud, and Silver Surfer and Doctor Doom is just basically like their version of Lex Luthor or Norman Osborn. He's not like this billionaire who just all of a sudden gains powers and goes out of control and targets the Fantastic Four. He was a equal and a rival intellectually to Reed Richards, and also is one of it feels like the most personal one of the most personal rivalries in comic books, and I didn't see any of that in the portrayal of any in both live action films. And with the Fantastic Four coming up, I hope that's one thing that they do differently is they actually show the team dynamic very well. Like Sue Storm was kind of over sexualized in the 2000s films, but also she's the mother of the group. She's the glue that holds everything together. And if you guys want a very good depiction of that, I would say read the comics because these issues do a great job at showing while they have their differences, at the end of the day, they are family, and they just seem to forget that a lot of times. But one of my favorite issues so far that I've read is Namor teaming up with Doctor Doom to take out the Fantastic Four. Also, another really good one was Doctor Doom holding Sue Storm hostage, and he sends the Fantastic Four back in time to get an artifact for them. And if they don't, Sue Storm, and they go back and fight pirates, which was really cool to read about. And also seeing Thing being appreciated by, even though they were in the past and they were fighting for their lives to get this treasure. Thing was appreciated and actually felt validated for his looks rather than being put down and treated like a monster. And the crew of the pirates that they took over, they treat him like an equal. They treat him like a leader, and I would love to see stuff like that being betrayed in the upcoming Fantastic Four, and even the childish antics between Johnny Storm and how obnoxious he is towards Thing and Invisible Woman, and just they absolutely have to nail the intelligence of Reed Richards this film, in this upcoming film, and make the costumes look like how they are in these comics. And even the Thing, please remember, the Thing wears pants, just like the Hulk. He wears pants. Next up, I read. God, what is it? I'm blanking. Oh, the 12 issue series of Spider-Man 2099. If you guys love Miguel Ojeda in Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, then read this, because it's a 12 issue series about Miguel O'Hara going back from 2099 to 2014 to stop his grandfather, or his great grandfather, from becoming like an evil corporator, basically like an evil Norman Osborn. And because his dad, in the timeline that he comes from in the future, is the ruler of an evil corporation, so he goes back in time to 2014 and gets stuck there. But he goes back in time to try to prevent his grandfather from going down the wrong path. A lot of great fights here. I love the concept of time traveling. This is really great, really enjoyable. Like I said, if you really like 2099 Spider-Man and Across the Spider-Verse, you're going to love this. Their personalities are more different. In the movie, he's much more serious. He's grieving. But in this in this depiction of Miguel, he's much more like goofy, witty, but he does have, there are moments where he has to realize that it's not all about joking, that there's seriousness in a lot of the situations that he's put in. So definitely read this. I breezed through this in maybe a day or so. Yeah, I read this rather quickly. So that's everything that I've read this week, guys. Let me know if there's anything that I should read that you guys are fans of, but let me know in the comments below. Until then, guys, don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe to stay updated. More movie reviews, TV show reviews, and comic book reviews, and enjoy the rest of your weekend.